Years have passed now. We were truly used to our master and his ways, whether it was by what he'd do, say, or even the way he was. We truly accepted him as our new father. Though a truly firm father, even though we'll miss our old father wholly, he took care of us, guarded us from harm, and was there for us to encourage, for reassurance, and to cherish. I believe he was acquiring how to be a good father himself, that he was cramming along the way as we grew up. The more we got to know each other, the more we learned about each other. Yeah. It's almost funny. I thought we'd be with my mom and dad until the day we'd move out. Now being with our master in his home, this little ranch home, we never expected to live with someone else. I never once thought I'd look at someone else as a father instead of my biological father. I never assumed I'd love someone as a father before, but he was benevolent to us. It's almost even hard to see him without us now, that if he were to die himself, it would be like losing another father. We care for each other. We were truly a happy little family now. It was early October, and the leaves were slowly changing their color from the warmth of the summer months, as the cold air blew, an unruffled brisk morning was slowly approaching. We were fast asleep in our bunk beds, cuddled up in our supple, cozy covers. The time was gradually ticking towards 6 in the morning. The sun was unhurriedly coming up over the horizon. The sun would come up from the backyard, in between 2 trees, and the little sing spot we had back there, and as it would rise between the white picket fence, it would shine more vividly, making a glare. It was slightly overcast, but you could still see some of the blue skies. The wind would pick up ever so, moving the leaves on the ground, swirling them like a little mini tornado in the yard, also making the swings sway back and forth, as if nature was playing. You could now see the dew on the grass sparkling as if it was glittering, as morning was closing in and the birds were now awake, chirping their songs around the yard, pecking at the hard, cold ground, hoping to get a good morning's breakfast. It was Saturday morning, a nice day to relax, to sleep, to be lazy. Edwin was fully under his blankets while I was hugging my pillow in my sleep. We couldn't be any more comfortable if we tried. Everything was still and peaceful. The room was still slightly shaded in shadow, though the sun's rays would go through our navy blue curtains and would hit the walls across the room. We were now both in a deep sleep, snoozing in our own content dreams. Though all that soon ended when our master called us. He didn't come into the room. There was no need, since I had made a wall screen to contact each other in any room at any given time. I made it so communication could become more steadfast, so information could be directed to us the second our master needed us, such as times like these. I almost regret making it, considering we were all so comfortable. We had no desires to wake up and greet the day, not yet at least. Our master would look at both of us as we slumbered, knowing even though as peaceful as we were, we had to be awake. He said in a calming voice,
"Wake up, my children. You have a lot of training to do today."
Just 5 more minutes.
Time waits for no man. Now both of you get up or you'll be late.
Edmund was still protesting. But that's just it. We're not men. We're boys. And boys need sleep. Especially this one. Our master was now losing all his patience and was getting agitated, scolding him.
"Do not make me come up there and pull you 2 out of bed. You will surely not like it if I do."
Alright, already. I'm getting up. Just calm down.
Good boy. Now hurry down. I don't need you too late like you usually are.
Edmund took a sigh of relief, knowing he wasn't on any longer, that he no longer had to hear him slightly scold him just because he was tired. However, he was slightly angry with me, knowing I had to go and invent that contraption. Thanks a lot, Eddie. His legs would overhang and sat at the edge of his bed, and rubbed his eyes and sighed miserably. If anything, he thought the weekend should be our days off to relax, to take it easy from what we had to do during the week. Even thinking we're the only 10-year-olds that had to deal with this. He soon snapped out of his own thoughts and looked up at me. Seeing how I was still fast asleep in my bed, cozy and contented. I suppose I was too cozy that I didn't even hear the argument. Time to wake up, Mr. Sleeping Beauty over here. He grabbed one of his pillows and rolled his eyes and threw it up at me, trying to wake me up. Come on, bro. It's time to get up again. Don't want to anger our master any more than he already is. Yeah! I immediately woke up from the impact of the pillow that landed on my back. I sat up and grabbed his pillow and threw it back down at him. I slowly got up and groaned at the fact morning had arrived already. Well, that's one way to wake me up. My hair was a mess, and I had dark circles under my eyes as I yawned. Morning already. I wish just once that time when it moved so fast while sleeping. Just once I'd like for it to slow down. Even just a teeny tiny bit. Me and you both, bro. But our master demands us to get up and get to the training room pronto. Since when did you care about being on time? You normally try to avoid it if you can. Yeah, well, I don't. I just don't want to be yelled at again. I'm getting sick and tired of being yelled at all the time. Just one day without hearing him bark at us like an old dog would be great. That shouldn't bother you. You get yelled at all the time. By now you should be used to it. So much that it should sound like underwater. Everything muffled and you being so zoned out it doesn't even make a difference anymore. Like constant water in your ears. If only that was the case, bro. But me getting up on a Saturday like this makes me more cranky than it probably should for anyone's good. Now just get down here before he gets up to drag us down. I jumped down from the bunk bed and stretched. The clouds surely weren't aiding to our energy. And being cold outside, all I wanted to be was warm. Snug in a bed that was in a way embracing me, saying to stay, to be there where it was nice. As I stretched, I knew deep down it was going to be another tedious day, like it has been for quite some time. Most days have been like this, mostly cloudy with only peaks of sunshine and cold air coming from the west. I was just waiting for a placid sunny day out at this point. Edmund was standing by one of my devices. It was called the Apparel Operator 5000, or AO for short. Just a typical gadget that could gingerly walk into and it would help you get dressed twice as fast than the normal person. It did this by having a type of hands that would come out and strip you of your clothing and then dress you itself, or delay the slugginess of a normal human in the morning. Too fatigued to go at a fast pace. All you had to do was put the clothes you wanted it to wear, along with shoes in the back of the machine. There would be a type of door to open. Put them inside There would be a type of door to open and put them inside in the right order, which you could easily do in the previous night before you go to bed. Then in the morning, just press the button from the inside, hold up your arms as it would do the work for you. Straightforward as that. Or, as I would like to say, a lot of engineering went into this machine, especially having to make two. I built it so we could arrive to the training room earlier, without being scolded in the end. Well, more or less. As soon as we were done, we rushed out and brushed our hair and teeth, making sure we looked alright, even putting on our big e-necklaces that we kept hanging next to the door on a thumbtack. After all was finished and done, we darted out the door and we went down the hallway, past the living room, kitchen, zoomed by our master's bedroom, down a flight of stairs, past another kitchen, ran down another hallway where our master's office was, down more flight of stairs, and into the training room where our master was waiting for us. He doesn't look happy. Yeah, thanks for pointing out the obvious, Einstein. Unfortunately for us, he was anything but pleased. He stood there with his arms crossed as he looked at us. We ducked our heads ever so slightly and ambled over to him. We were ready to be reprimanded yet again for our late entry. He looked down at us and asked,
"What have you two been doing? You're 5 minutes late. This is highly unacceptable."
Well, Master, you see...
Never mind that. I don't want to hear your justifications anyway. I just want to see your actions.
Pardon?
It means I don't want to hear your excuses. I just want you two to train. It's bad enough you're late. You two are still novices, and you need all the practice you can get. However, those 5 minutes are coming out of your break.
What? come on! This isn't fair! It's only been a lousy 5 or so minutes. We have the rest of the day to train. Can't you cut us some slack for once in our little lives? I mean, we're only 10 years old. We work probably harder than any other kid who's alive. Give us some credit or something. We put up with this every single day. No other kid would. Most kids would have quit by now. But we still obeyed and stayed and did exactly what you've ever told us to do. So what gives? Edmund, stop. Shut up. I glared at Edmund, shaking my head the whole time, trying to make him to stop. I could just envision how hard we're gonna get it. Our master hates being talked back to. If anything, he finds it disrespectful of him and his training methods. I took a sigh and put my head down with a sweat drop appearing, thinking we're in for it now. And we're so dead. Out of my own curiosities, I took a slight look up at our master, who was glaring at Edmund, highly aggravated. You could see it in his eyes. He was not elated.
I do not want to hear back talk, Edmund. If you two wish to grow up to be responsible adults, then you should take your punishments as one. You two are almost your teenage years. You're not just little kids anymore. And what gives is me punishing you properly, so you'll be more encouraged to come down here next time I ask you to actually arrive on time. I don't care what other kids go through or how their lives are. This is your life and what is demanded of you. And I expect you to listen to the authority before you, which is me. Now, before any more time is utterly wasted, get to training at once. And if I hear any more mouth out of you, Edmund, don't think I won't ground you for your behavior.
His voice slightly echoed due to how vast it was down here, so the sound wave of his voice would bounce off the walls. I was actually expecting a bit worse considering how much he hates being talked back to like that. I was pretty elated that it didn't go the way I thought, even happier knowing that Edmund was more targeted at than me. We both took a sigh and then we did what we were told to do nonetheless, and started our training. Though, talk about being nerved, our master stood there looking at us like a hawk. I care for our master like anyone would care for someone close to them, but his eyes could just chill and intimidate anyone. After an hour went by, he stopped evaluating us and left to his office. We waited till he was fully gone, and even tilted our bodies and head to see if he left the room. The minute we heard the door shut behind him, we both took a sigh, thinking now we can ease up on our own training just a bit, even taking secret short breaks in between. What he didn't know didn't hurt us, right? I looked at Edmund agitated. Did you really have to talk back like that? It's dumb. It's stupid. We're 10. I am hungry. And I'm cranky. He approached and opened the door to his office and walked in. He took a seat on his maroon leather chair and took a sigh. Perhaps he still wasn't used to this whole fatherhood thing just yet. That, and he doesn't always seem like a father. At times he's more of just a master we obeyed. Even one called us his sons. Sometimes I wondered if we were really just his students. He tried to shake what had happened an hour ago, not wanting to dwell on what Edmund had said. He realized he was young and still knew nothing of the true dangers just yet, so he wouldn't completely fathom the risks of being a spy just yet. To truly settle his mind, he thought perhaps he could write something, perhaps some evals on us when he was observing us. But he just sat there as if it just dwindled in his mind. Couldn't bring himself to really write anything at the moment, though all thoughts paused when his ceiling screen turned on. He turned around to see who it was, only to find out it was his master that had contacted him. He leaned back in his chair, waiting patiently for what he had to tell him. His master glared at him.
Those two boys you have chosen off the street.
Our master's eyebrows rose slightly as he continued.
We must use them now.
You could hear something being slammed down on, as if his master slammed his fist down on his desk. Our master immediately stood up, astonished out of his mind, thinking his master had lost it, and responded,
Now, of all times. They're only 10 years of age, and they haven't even completed half of their training, and you wish to use them now.
Yes, however, for a valid reason.
Good reason. What possible reason would be even slightly significant enough for you to even think twice in the slightest way of using them in their current state?
He then showed this rare diamond on the screen next to him and replied,
This is one of the rarest diamonds in all of the world. The Peruvian diamond. I have gotten intel by our agents that in the coming weeks it will be stolen. If the intel is correct, it will be on a Monday night, and as you know, the Connivery Tyrannical Bloodliners, or KTB for short, and their sinful leader are going to try to steal our diamonds for their own malicious intentions. Your new recruits must retrieve the diamonds before they get their hands on it. I expect your boys who by doing this mission will prove their worthiness as true spies of this agency. They are the right size after all. Being so small, they are practically invisible, along with silent walks like a literal mouse, sneaking through the halls, unlike our other agents who tower over them. They are the literal right height to sneak into the place and immediately get out. After all, it has been 5 years, and the boys have yet to be in any kind of mission, even an insignificant one, to test their skills. The wait has come to an end. These boys shall retrieve this diamond, or their fate will rest in your hands. I don't want nor wish to hear of failure upon you. You made the decision 5 years ago to take in students, and it is now time to see if your teachings are truly what you had claimed to be so long ago. Do not disappoint me, or you will know what will happen. Do you understand?
Yes, Master. I will not forsake you.
Excellent. I will be sending you the coordinates of the exact location where the diamonds are currently being held. Though, don't feel discouraged either. They've been training for 5 years. I'm sure they're ready to take on something. All it is at the end of the day is a typical spy mission. Retrieve an item and get out. It couldn't be easier than that. They just need a week's worth more of extra work. I'm sure you can handle it like you said years ago. Correct?
With them being only 10, it goes beyond just that. Years of training for an adult, perhaps. But a child? I've never heard of such a thing. To put a 10-year-old in such a position.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there are agents on standby. So, in a sense, it's not just them doing it alone. If anything, since we all have to think of any horrid situation, they will be watched over by our own agents.
Then why the boys? If we have agents on standby not doing anything, why put little 10-year-old lives in possible danger? Why not give them anything else? A recon mission of just information is better than this. Hell, that's what I started off with when I was 16 years of age. You're putting a lot on these boys, and they're still so young.
I have my reasons for this, that if I explained would take too long.
Sounds like a pitiful half-ass excuse to me.
Just do as you are told, won't you? If anything goes wrong, at least you know that our agents will be out there, and you can even step in if you must. But I want that diamond with us immediately before it falls into his hands. After all, who would expect 10-year-olds to even go out there? It's actually perfect. The real element of surprise, as stated before, is the small stature. It is perfect for this mission. And not only that, but you say that Eddie is a genius. So I don't have much to fear out of this, and neither should you. Now, just do as instructed and all will go well. Now that that is done and over with, I will be sending you the location now.
Our master's fax machine started going, and he gingerly walked over to it to get it. He examined where it was, and the details said everything. That the very place that this diamond was placed in one of the most wealthiest and one of the most secure places in the city, the Sea Oak Gated Community, located in the west tip of Coney Island, Brooklyn's more expensive living areas, where they upgraded all of its security measures in the early 2100s, and continued onward with lasers and state-of-the-art motion detectors, 5 dozens of them surrounded the place, and the diamond rests within the other rich complex buildings, mostly for famous people such as actresses, movie stars, producers, lawyers, doctors, high-end CEOs and businessmen, and so on. And this place was the real deal. It was nearly impossible to penetrate the area without being spotted or detected by their security guards that also walked the place. So if the cameras didn't somehow find you, the guards would. Or even worse, their laser sensors that would then sound off their alarm. It was hard enough for an adult to do it, never mind 2 10-year-olds who've never done this before. It was hard enough for an adult to do it, never mind 2 10-year-olds who've never done this before and was expected of it just because of our size. To our master, it just didn't make sense at all. Size or not, it's not the size, it's the skill. And he knew that, which uneased him more. He leaned back in his chair and took one of the deepest sighs he's ever taken, taking a moment while it was silent in the room as he tried to gather his thoughts. Then just looking down at the information partially on his desk, and on his lap just staring at it as almost if it was a fantasy. Who would make 2 10-year-olds do this kind of thing? He knew his father was strict, but this wasn't at all what he thought his father would ever do. A moment later, he took off his hat and rubbed his fingers to his hair. He was trying to slightly comprehend how in the world we could pull this off, and not disappoint his master. Even he knew 10-year-olds were not suitable in this kind of situation, and that true professionals should be tampering with this job, but there was no other way of convincing his master otherwise to change his mind. To our master, we just weren't ready.